children represent God. They're the most innocent and like God, and that's why the devil wants to hurt them.
He was asking about the movie, and I asked him about that one particular part where everybody's talking, and they all cried out Epstein Island. And I went, oh, okay. Now I understand what we're up against.
It's an 8-armed octopus. And if you take just out, that arm will grow back. You have to take the head.
Jim Caviezel, the man who portrayed Jesus Christ on screen and has since dedicated himself to fighting real-world child trafficking, reportedly broke down in tears after examining what happened inside Oprah Winfrey's Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. According to circulating accounts and his public statements, he sees a pattern that links philanthropy, power, silence, and the darkest networks that prey on the innocent. He believes certain high-profile figures act as gatekeepers, providing access, legitimacy, and cover that allows predators to operate. And in this case, the questions swirl around one of the most beloved names in media history. This is the story of the academy that was supposed to lift up vulnerable girls, but instead became the center of abuse allegations, a collapsed trial, reports of missing students, and connections that Caviezel says point to something far larger. Most people still picture Jim Caviezel as the actor who endured physical suffering to portray Jesus in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ *. That role came at a personal cost, lost opportunities, industry pushback, and a clear message that certain topics were off-limits in Hollywood. Yet Caviezel didn't retreat. Over the last decade, he has immersed himself in the fight against child trafficking, using his platform to highlight underground rescue operations and the systemic networks that enable them. His involvement in *Sound of Freedom became a defining moment. The film, inspired by Tim Ballard's work rescuing children from traffickers, faced extraordinary resistance. According to Caviezel and those involved, major studios and even elements within Rupert Murdoch's Fox reportedly warned that touching the project could end careers within 3 years. A movie centered on saving innocent kids from monsters was treated like career suicide. Eventually, Angel Studios picked it up, and against all odds, it crossed $200 million at the box office. Audiences showed up in force. Hollywood, it seemed, did not want them to. During a key screening, something shifted permanently for Caviezel. In a powerful scene depicting the scale of the problem, the audience erupted, shouting Epstein Island, not once, but multiple times. That visceral reaction, he has described, opened his eyes to the depth of public awareness and the forces working against exposure.
And they all cried out Epstein Island.
From that point, Caviezel began speaking more boldly about what he calls the 8-armed octopus, a sophisticated network of power, money, influence, and silence that protects predators while appearing benevolent on the surface. He argues you cannot simply cut off one arm. The head of the operation must be confronted. And in his public comments, one name has surfaced repeatedly in this context: Oprah Winfrey. Caviezel's tears, as described in multiple accounts of his recent appearances, come not from baseless conspiracy, but from a man who has looked closely at patterns of trafficking, grooming, isolation, failed accountability, and seen echoes in stories that mainstream outlets have largely left unexplored. In 2007, Oprah Winfrey made a high-profile promise alongside Nelson Mandela. She would build a world-class school for disadvantaged girls in South Africa, a beacon of hope, education, and opportunity. She invested roughly $40 million of her own money into the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. The campus was extraordinary: 28 buildings, free uniforms, books, meals, a beauty salon, yoga studio, 2 theaters. Oprah personally selected many of the students. She called herself their mama bear, vowing to protect and empower them. Media coverage was glowing: front pages, magazine spreads, the ultimate feel-good humanitarian story. But the cracks appeared shockingly fast. Within months of opening, a dormitory matron named Tiny Virginia Makopo, also referred to as Virginia Makopo or Mapo in reports, was arrested. She faced multiple charges, up to 14 counts in some accounts, including indecent assault, soliciting underage girls for indecent acts, and criminal injury. At least 6 to 9 girls, aged 13 to 15 and one older student, came forward with allegations of abuse that allegedly occurred inside the dormitories of the very institution built to safeguard them. Oprah flew to South Africa immediately. She expressed being shaken to her core and implemented sweeping changes: staff firings, lockdowns, and new security measures. Parents, however, described a different reality. Supervised visits limited to just 2 hours, restricted diets with no treats allowed, severely limited contact with the outside world. One parent reportedly questioned whether the school had become more like a prison or institution than a place of learning and growth. Girls from impoverished backgrounds, promised a transformative future, allegedly felt increasingly isolated and controlled within a compound under Oprah's ultimate authority. The criminal case against Makopo dragged on. In 2010, she was acquitted on all charges. The magistrate ruled that the testimony from the alleged victims was contradictory and lacked sufficient corroboration. No convictions resulted. Oprah publicly stated she was profoundly disappointed by the outcome, noting that 9 girls had shown courage in coming forward, yet none received justice through the courts. But the story did not end with the trial. Persistent online reports and social media discussions, never fully investigated by major outlets, have circulated for years about girls who allegedly went missing from the academy. No comprehensive public record, no independent audit funded by the school's billionaire founder, detailing the fate and current whereabouts of every single student who entered those gates. For a woman with vast resources and a global media empire, the silence on this aspect has fueled speculation. Additional troubling incidents surfaced over time, including reports of a dead newborn found on the school grounds in later years, further complicating the narrative of the academy as an unblemished sanctuary. Caviezel, whose work has involved studying real trafficking operations, the grooming, the isolation from family, the creation of controlled environments, looked at this sequence and saw familiar patterns. He has emotionally described the weight of realizing how the most vulnerable can be funneled through systems disguised as philanthropy. Caviezel does not allege that Oprah personally committed crimes or flew on Epstein's plane. Publicly available information shows no confirmed flight logs placing Oprah herself on the Lolita Express. However, her former business partner Geraldine Laybourne, with whom she co-founded Oxygen Media, has been documented in Epstein flight logs according to released materials. What Caviezel emphasizes is a broader, decades-long pattern of proximity to individuals later accused or convicted of serious predatory behavior, and the role such high-profile associations can play in lowering defenses. British actress Kate Noble, for example, has described how meeting Harvey Weinstein in the company of Oprah and others like Naomi Campbell made him seem trustworthy. Oprah's presence, her brand as a moral authority and champion of women, allegedly acted as a powerful trust signal. Photos exist of Oprah with Weinstein over the years, including one where Seal captioned an image of Oprah kissing Weinstein on the cheek with a pointed remark about being part of the problem for decades. During the height of the Me Too reckoning focused heavily on Weinstein, Oprah made comments that some interpreted as redirecting attention away from specific individuals toward a broader conversation. If we make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment. Similarly, Oprah platformed the Brazilian faith healer known as John of God to her massive audience on multiple occasions. He was later sentenced to prison after dozens of women accused him of sexual assault and abuse. Oprah issued statements expressing sadness and distancing herself, reiterating she had never been near certain parties associated with him. Caviezel frames figures like this as potential gatekeepers within larger networks, not necessarily the ones carrying out the worst acts, but those who confer legitimacy, open doors, build public trust, and help predators blend into elite circles. In his view, Oprah's control over media narratives, book clubs, production companies, and political influence makes her uniquely positioned in this ecosystem. She has the power to legitimize or sideline voices overnight. He has questioned why Sound of Freedom faced such institutional headwinds, and why stories involving the Academy have not triggered the kind of aggressive, well-funded investigations one might expect from someone with Oprah's platform and resources. Accounts describe Jim Caviezel becoming emotional, at times in tears, when discussing the girls from the Academy and the larger implications for child protection. He sees these cases not as isolated failures, but as symptoms of a system that protects the powerful while the most innocent suffer in silence. He speaks of an approaching storm of accountability that could reach into entertainment, philanthropy, and politics, urging people to demand real investigations rather than accepting surface-level explanations. Taken piece by piece, defenders can offer context for each element: a philanthropic project with implementation challenges, a trial that didn't didn't meet legal standards for conviction, unfortunate associations common in high society, business relationships that ended badly. Oprah has never been charged with any crime in relation to the Academy, Epstein, or any trafficking network. All references here are to public allegations, reported associations, court records that ended in acquittal, and Caviezel's stated beliefs and interpretations based on his anti-trafficking work. Nothing in this narrative constitutes proven guilt. Yet when viewed as a layered pattern, the Academy abuse scandal and acquittal, reports of missing or unaccounted for girls, proximity to Epstein-adjacent figures, public associations with Weinstein and John of God, institutional resistance to child rescue storytelling, and a consistent theme of silence or deflection on hard questions about her own institution. Many find it difficult to dismiss entirely as coincidence. The core questions Caviezel's tears seem to underscore are these. Why has there never been a fully transparent, independent, third-party accounting of every girl who attended the Leadership Academy, their entry, experience, and exit status, with billions in resources and a media empire at her disposal? Why the relative quiet on pursuing deeper answers for the victims who spoke up and those who allegedly did not? How does a pattern of close, legitimizing associations with men later exposed as predators persist for decades without more rigorous self-examination from one of the world's most influential women? And in a world where child trafficking networks thrive on access, trust, and camouflage provided by respected public figures, what responsibility do gatekeepers, if that is what they are, truly bear? Caviezel's message is unwavering. Children represent the most innocent among us. Protecting them cannot be optional for those with power. The octopus must be confronted at its head, not just its tentacles. Silence, in his view, is complicity. Oprah Winfrey built a school with good intentions that became mired in darkness. Whether that darkness reflects isolated tragedy or something more structural is a question that demands sunlight, evidence, and due process, not speculation or cancellation. The public deserves rigorous, independent investigation where serious allegations arise. The girls who came forward deserved justice they did not fully receive in court. Any girls who may have vanished deserve to be accounted for. Jim Caviezel has risked his career to shine light where others won't. His tears are a call to stop looking away. What are your thoughts? Should there be a comprehensive independent probe into the full history of the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy, including student outcomes? Do Caviezel's warnings about gatekeepers deserve serious consideration, or are they overreach? Share evidence-based comments below. Hit share if you believe no one, no matter how powerful, should be above scrutiny when children's safety is involved. Stay vigilant. The innocent are counting on us.